This is the Angels Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Los Angeles Angels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, after every single Angels game, right here on Locked On Angels YouTube channel, and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels audio podcast feed. What's going on, everybody? If you don't know who I am, my name is Gavin Carlson, former credentialed journalist in the LA area, spent 4 years covering UCLA sports, football, men's and women's basketball, and a couple other sports early on in my career with the Daily Bruin, and now in year, not one, but two, with the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Our team is the Angels, and I'm getting close. I really am getting close to, as you see on the screen right there, making a bold proclamation about the rest of 2025. I don't know what you're thinking I'm about to say. I'm about to tell you in 2 seconds, but if you didn't watch the ball game, the Angels lose once again, 4-1 to the Baltimore Orioles. All right. And I'm going to jump right into it. They lose 4-1. Kyle Hendricks was okay. The lineup was bad. Kenley Jansen gives up a run in the ninth, but let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Taking a little bit of a different approach tonight because there wasn't really a crazy turning point. It was kind of a pretty uneventful game. The Angels fall behind 1-0 in the top of the first, 3-0 in the top of the second. Other than that, Kyle Hendricks able to settle in and still have a respectable start. 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks, gave up the 1 home run to Gunnar Henderson. Kind of feels like a typical start for most Angels pitchers, whether it's Soriano or Anderson or Hendricks. Kikuchi, yes and no. Kahanowitz, yes and no. They typically give up around 3 runs, around 5 or 6 hits, a couple walks, maybe a home run here or there. And the Angels lineup did what it typically does, right? Very minimal, just 4 hits, just 1 run coming in the bottom of the 7th. The RBI coming from Taylor Ward, who other than that was bad. 8 strikeouts. It's not 12 or 13 for once, but if you catch my drift here, it's becoming the same old for the Angels. And I really was hoping after you get your first series win in a while, that this series against the Orioles would be an opportunity to flip the switch. The Orioles come in underperforming, right? They're 13-23 coming into this one. One of the top five, I think is pretty fair to say, favorites coming into this season to win the freaking World Series, right? This is a great roster, a very solid rotation, and they come into this one in some ways being similar to the Angels in terms of their struggles. These are the 2 worst bullpens in the American League, the second and third worst bullpens in baseball, right? The Orioles bullpen is costing them many games. The other thing that's cost them many games is their horrendous hitting with runners in scoring position, which the Angels don't get many hits, but they especially don't get hits with runners in scoring position, right? So in many ways, coming into this game, it felt like 2 teams that were similar, right? And it felt like an opportunity for the Angels to maybe, in a game of 2 similar teams in terms of struggling, in terms of weaknesses, maybe the Angels could, steal a win here to open up the series on a Friday night at home, right? And instead of them doing that, instead of them showing us anything different, it really feels like this game, and I'm not ready to say it right away yet. We'll see what happens the next 2 games, but certainly if there's 2 more losses, I will be ready to say it right now. Is there any reason to have hope about the rest of the year? I hate to say it. I hate to say it, right? But as someone who was really excited and trying to hide the excitement and be reasonable and even-keeled after the 8-4 start, it felt like things were different. It did. And even through this skid, right, which made it seem like same old Angels, right? You go, okay, the team had the highest of highs, then they had the lowest of lows. The question becomes, what will they have in this in-between, right? Will there be an in-between? After you have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, you win a series. Now is when it feels like you're at this level playing field against a equally struggling team. And not only for you to lose the game, but I always say it, result is one thing. But if you lose the game 8-9, If you lose the game because you hit 18 base hits and not a bunch of home runs and didn't strike out, hey, okay. Maybe for once, Ron Washington didn't make terrible decisions in this game, ironically. So maybe that's the one positive and one difference in this ball game. But outside of that, this felt like a typical Angels loss that we see every other game for the past couple of years, right? The offense does nothing. You didn't even strike out that many times, but you struck out enough, right? There's just no life. There's no life. And that it's ironic that it doesn't come, and maybe this is how I'm different. It doesn't come on a 12-0 loss. It doesn't. It comes on a game where a couple things go a different way, and maybe you win the ball game, right? There's a horrible call in this one. If that goes differently, maybe things change. Didn't love the reaction from Ron Washington when it happened. Didn't love the reaction from the team. We also caught a break in the top of the ninth. Play at the plate. They challenge it. Could have gone either way. That one went our way, right? So there's coin flips in every ball game. And it just feels like, ironically, not on a 12-0 loss, but on a game like tonight, why in the heck do we expect anything different, right? Do we expect anything different? And we never get anything different. So I say almost there on the screen because it is still one loss after you win 2 out of 3 against the Blue Jays. And we could win the next 2 games against, the Orioles and start some win streak, and then I could put my foot in my mouth. But for whatever reason tonight, on a Friday night, I'm just sitting here and I'm watching the game and I'm thinking, why should we think things are going to be different this season? It just doesn't feel like there's any reason, right? And so later in the show, we'll get into some of the roster changes that were made. We'll get into this Mike Trout news that's supposed to be coming tomorrow, right? But are any of those things really going to change the results of this team? I don't think so. And so I hate to be so melancholy and so pessimistic, right? But it's a lot easier to be pessimistic and infuriated after a 12-0 defeat. But when you have a game like today where it's close-ish, but also lifeless, it's like, man, we're so used to this. We're so used to this. And the feeling is almost like, why even waste time and energy and emotion and mental bandwidth projecting if things are going to be different, if things are going to get better? What if we just accept it right now that things aren't, and then have a different view on the season from then? Because pretty early on last year, we knew we were going to be terrible. And then, I mean, if you were watching the show last year, it was, all right, another loss, unsurprisingly. If it was a really infuriating loss, we lost in an embarrassing way, I would rant about it. But if it was, okay, we lost as we always do, kind of like a game like today, but, we saw something noticeable, whether it's good or bad, whether it's, hey, Zach Neto did something with this swing and he's now on fire to end the season, or, hey, Jose Soriano showing flashes of being a really good starting pitcher, or things in the other way. Oh, Ron Washington made another horrific decision and maybe it's a time we let him go, right? When polarizing things happen in that aspect, we will talk about it, right? But in terms of saying, hey, let's string some wins together. Hey, let's do this, let's do that. I don't know. I think I would need to see the Angels win 4 games in a row, 5 games in a row, get to a couple games within 500 before I start saying, hey, we're a couple games within 500. Let's start talking about the record again. Let's start talking about the immediate future and not the future as in 2 years from now. Right. So very melancholy, very pessimistic, very glass half full for me today. But I don't know. That's just how I'm feeling after this game. In all honesty, that's just how I'm feeling. And so the whole point of this show is I tell you how I'm feeling and you tell me how you're feeling. So tell me if you agree. Tell me if you disagree. Tell me if you say, Gavin, we lost 4-1. Why is this game of all games? Why is this the game where you suddenly decide it's over? And I'm not saying it yet. Right. But I'm just having this realization, this epiphany. And maybe I'm having it later than I should or earlier than I should. But sorry, I don't even know if I said that. Later than I should or earlier than I should. But at the end of the day, that's the realization I've had on this Friday night. And let me know what you guys think. We're going to take our break. When we come back, we're going to actually talk a little bit more about what happened. Sometimes I like to say, start small and go big, right? Here's the turning point. Now let me explain. Or here's the player of the game. Now let me talk big picture. But today just felt like one of those days where you go big picture first, because not much happened in the ball game, and not much happening in the ball game is something we're becoming way too familiar with to have any sort of big statements of optimism about the future of this season. So when we come back from the break, we'll talk about some of the nitty-gritties. We'll tell you the box score. We'll tell you who did well, who did not so well, who did extra not well. We'll talk about what happened in the ninth inning, because I think there's some things to talk about there. And really the bullpen as a whole. We had Reed Detmer's pitch, so there's something to say about that. We'll talk about all that. We'll look forward to the remaining of the series after our break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by a new sponsor, which, hey, we need something to spice up the show. Trade Coffee. Let's be real. Coffee isn't just a drink. Amen. It's a ritual, a lifeline, the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. And if it's that essential, why settle for anything less than amazing? Amen. That's where Trade Coffee comes in. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour-over purist, they've got a roast you'll love. I'll tell you, I wasn't a coffee person throughout high school. I mean, as most people are. But when you get to college, and just like they said, it becomes essential. Caffeine, whether it's my pre-workout, but at work, it's coffee, right? There's other coffees, and I don't like really the taste of most coffees. But I took Trade's quiz. They have a quiz. I took it. It only took a minute. And then the first bag they sent me, it was spot on. It was what I wanted. I didn't even really know what I wanted, and it told me what I wanted. And then when I had it, I'm like, wait, this is what I wanted and what I needed. The coffee was fresh. It smelled amazing. And honestly, it ruined grocery store coffee for me in the best way. I'm already someone who doesn't like to go to the grocery store, so this is so much better. The good news is, if you don't have this amazing story like I did, and if the first match isn't perfect, Trade will replace it for free until they get it just right. And what I love, especially as a 23-year-old who pinches his pennies, I love that their prices are comparable to grocery store brands, but the flavor is on a whole different level. So right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. Drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. Today's show is also brought to you by the Amazon Fire 4K Stick TV. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports, College Football 25, which I will say it every single time, I waste way too much time on. It's the best game of all time. Even though it's mid, I just love college football that much. Whether it's that or Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed, as easily as you stream your favorite shows, you can play your games, right? It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. It's got the latest technology with Wi-Fi 6, 6E, and auto low latency mode advanced technology. The Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning-fast speeds you need to stay competitive. Plus, it still has a bunch of other entertainment with more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney+, Max, and more. Plus, it's affordable and portable. You don't have to pay for a console if you don't have one. If you're traveling somewhere, you don't got to pay for another one or bring yours, right? So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. And finally, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. They've been amazing. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot, we've had plenty, or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. I don't get to do it right now, both because I work for an NBA team and I'm in California. But when I was in New York, FanDuel, it was money. I was at the Liberty game. I was at the Yankees game. And both before the game and during it, FanDuel, the interface, it's so nice. It makes it easy. Plus, they have great promotions like this. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your $5 bet. And if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here live with another losing edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. The Angels fall once again. They fall once again, 4-1. And you heard me not rant because I'm in a melancholy mood. I'm not in a crazy, angry mood. I'm in a melancholy mood. I just told you like it is. I said, you know what? I'm feeling bummed. And like real Marco Polo says here, you can see the writing on the wall with this weak team. It's really a great way to put it, right? It's really a great way to put it. It's interesting. People are in here debating. They're talking Arte Moreno, as they always do. And it's been very interesting to read it, right? Honestly, I was going to talk about the game, but I want to get into this because the point of the show is this, right? I'm trying to find kind of the beginning because it started with Ron Washington stuff. No one can convince me Ron ain't worst manager in MLB. Ron just there to collect a check. Dust too. It says Akura. Fair. Of course, people are going to criticize him. JDEE says Artie runs this team as a business. Do you blame him? Right? And that's an interesting thing because as a whole, much broader than just the Angels. The MLB has an issue where too many of its teams, their owners, are treating it as a business. Do owners in the NBA and in the NFL treat it like a business? Sure. But there's also a cap, and most teams have a full payroll up to the cap. Now, the question in the NBA is, are teams willing to pay the luxury tax to really compete? The Celtics, the Warriors, the Knicks, the Suns, right? They're in the luxury tax, and that's why they've got more stars than other teams. But every team, outside of a few, they're still paying at least 80% of what the cap is, right? The NFL, we know how competitive the NFL is. Every single team, whether you're running it like a business or not, when a team is running it like a business in the NFL, it's a team like the Vikings or the Steelers, where they're running it like a business in the sense that their goal is to make the playoffs and have a winning product as much as possible, even if that means sacrificing ever having the opportunity to have the first overall pick and draft that game-changing, franchise-changing quarterback, right? That's the closest to running it like a business you'll have it in the NFL, is maybe a team prioritizing being 10-7 every year instead of being 1-16 one year so that they can be 16-1 the next. That's the closest thing you'll have it to running it like a business in the NFL. The MLB, it's different, right? It's kind of like soccer, where in soccer, in the Premier League or any other league, there's like 6, 7, 8 teams trying to be great, and the other 12 are just trying to stay afloat, both financially in terms of staying in their league and not getting relegated. The MLB is kind of like that, right? And unfortunately, right now, the Angels, they're one of those teams that's kind of in the middle, but mainly a team that's being run like a business, right? And so Joshua says a funny thing here where he says, Gavin, can you ask Steve Ballmer to buy the Angels? Hilarious. The reason why that would be so big, obviously it's just a hypothetical thing that's never going to happen, but is because baseball is the one sport where literally if your owner wants to try, it changes everything. Look at the Mets, right? You have an owner that buys the team and just wants to spend a bunch of money, and there they are, spending a bunch of money, and now they're going to be one of the best teams. Look at the Dodgers. They literally have the same owner that's owning my beloved Chelsea Blues that are spending crazy money. And so even if their front office isn't the best, which we know the Angels isn't, even if their manager isn't the best, which we know the Angels isn't, even if their roster at the moment isn't the best, which certainly the Angels isn't, if there's an owner committed to spending, you can turn things around, right? And so it's an interesting debate that's being had in here. We have guys like Nathan saying Artie's a trash owner, saying other lousy owners have won is laughable. Name them. Akura Man said plenty of lousy owners have won championships. Interesting. Akura Man also saying blaming Artie is a lazy cop-out. Interesting. You have guys like I'm looking for Giga Chad saying, I agree. There need to be major changes. Major being owner, right? JDE. It already doesn't make money because he doesn't own the land the stadium is on. I don't think that's true. And even if he's not, quote unquote, making money, you can't tell me his priorities are not avoiding losses, right? even if it's not, hey, let's make a crazy profit, it's not, you're telling me he just proved it to you. He earlier in the month or a month ago, we had a game on a Thursday night and we had a day game on a Friday in another hemisphere, basically. And we kept the game as a night game, basically saying we're not even going to try to win the next game because of money, right? So whether Arte is making millions of dollars or trying to lose the fewest million possible, he is worried about money. Absolutely. And there's an argument of, can you blame him? Because that's what owners do. It's a business at the end of the day. But baseball is a unique sport where your owner has to be committed to winning financially, or else he just simply won't do it. Right? But Alex brings up a good point of the A's owners hate it and they're doing all right now. True, which is why, once again, we also have a sub-optimal and a subpar front office and a sub-par manager. Those are all true. So it all goes hand in hand. The owner stinks. At this point, I'm so tired of going on Instagram Reels and getting the same reel telling you that the Angels had a draft where they only drafted pitchers and that literally none of the pitchers are any good. That tells you the front office certainly could be better. And we're in here almost every night saying, here's the mistakes that Ron Washington made today. So all three phases, and the players too. We haven't even talked about the players. The players also underperform and underdeliver all the time, right? So every single aspect of the franchise deserves blame. The only franchise or aspect that doesn't are the fans. And ironically, the fact that we are so loyal to this darn team and still show up to the stadium contributes to this subpar team because Arte doesn't have to change. So JDEE saying he wants to be profitable. He learned paying his players doesn't work, like Josh Hamilton. Of course, you're going to bring up Rendon, all that. Part of that becomes Perry's not a good GM. Part of that becomes still paying for players and then refusing to pay for the other things, such as the facilities, the training facilities, the trainers themselves, the medical staff. Arte also just hires his friends. That's a big thing too. You could spend all the money in the world, but then if the people that are making the decisions on how to use your money are your friends over being the most qualified, that don't help either. None of it helps. So I'm on minute 23. I haven't even told you. We're going to go down the lineup quickly. Neto was 0 for 4 with the strikeout. Sean was 0 for 4 with the strikeout. Moncada was 1 for 4 with the strikeout. He did have the only run of the ball game. Taylor Ward was the one who hit him in, but he didn't have a hit. He's now hitting 176, and the OPS is sub 600. Ohapi 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. And this is the future. Ohapi, him and Neto are the future. And they both went 0 for 4, and they do it way too often. And it sucks. I still love them. They're still the future of the franchise, but it sucks. Darno goes 0 for 3 with a strikeout. Rengifo 1 for 3. Adele 2 for 3. He had 2 of the 4 hits tonight. He's hitting 198. Would love to see that go over 200 as soon as possible to see if there's any hope of this guy being on the team in the years to come. Paris 0 for 2 with the strikeout. Soler comes in. He draws a walk as a pinch hitter. Lugo. We didn't even get to that. Lugo comes in. Believe he turned 25 today. Yes, he did. Or no, excuse me, he turned 24 today, and he makes his major league debut. Doesn't do anything, unfortunately, but he makes his major league debut as a pinch runner. And other than that, there were some roster changes I forgot to mention. Gustavo Campero injured. Ryan Johnson sent down. Finally will be a minor league pitcher and sent down, which is very surprising. Yeah. Anderson gets called up and pitches in this ball game, or gets added and pitches in this ball game. Sean Anderson, the 30-year-old. Didn't go too well. inning in a third, gives up 2 hits and an earned run. He did strike out 3, but he also walked a guy. He's ERA 6.75. And Kenley Jansen, unfortunately, this isn't a roster change, but he gets saved by that call, which it was a 50-50, but still gives up a run. Didn't end up being credited to him, but he gave up the hit that scored the run. And now we wait for tomorrow, where Mike Trout supposedly has some announcement on how he's doing. So that might, if Mike Trout makes some brutal announcement tomorrow and then the Angels lose again, man, you might need to bring out the candles, the tissues, rosaries, everything tomorrow. It might be brutal. So we'll talk about that after tomorrow's show. But for now, shout out to everybody in here. As always, you know how much I appreciate you guys for being in here. You could be spending your Friday night doing a whole lot of other things. But once again, watching this team and caring about the Angels already shows how loyal you are to this team. And then now being in here, all of you, after the game to watch this show and listen to me and give me your thoughts shows how loyal you are to this show, how loyal you are to this show as well. And you know I appreciate that. So have a great rest of your Friday night. The Angels lose 4-1 tonight. It'll be Gibson against Kohanowitz tomorrow. Two not-so-great pitchers. Gibson 0-1 with a 14.09 ERA. Kohanowitz 1-5 with a 5.79 ERA. Gibson hasn't had many starts. In fact, if I remember correctly, I believe he's only had two. Let me see here. Yeah, 2 starts. He went 3 2/3 innings against the Yankees. Gave up 11 hits, 9 earned runs, 5 home runs, 2 walks. Sure, you remember that because it was very, very famous in this season. One of the most shocking games of the year on April 29th, right? A couple weeks ago. And then on May 4th, he pitched 4 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs on another home run. So he's given up 6 home runs in just 7 2/3 innings. Hopefully we see some home runs tomorrow. That will cheer us up. Certainly it will. But as always, shout out to everybody in here. Thank you, Angels Win, for saying great show, Gavin. JDE saying good job, Gavin. Appreciate it as always. Have a great rest of your Friday night. We'll be back here tomorrow. Another night game. So we'll be back here. First pitch at 6:38. So you can expect the show around 9:15, 9:30, depending on how long the game goes. Appreciate that, Akura Mon, as well. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you back here tomorrow night. Keep your head up. And as always, go Angels.